Earlier in the day, I did a video about Tom Homan saying he doesn't care what judges say, the flights to remove migrants in this mass deportation effort, this unconstitutional, this illegal operation being run by Donald Trump, that he doesn't care what the federal judges say. And now, over the weekend, we have Jim Jordan and also the White House press secretary saying the same thing. We don't care. It's so funny that the laws they want to apply when they are in power don't apply when they're out of power. It's such hypocrisy and just stupid. And in this clip, to just give you an idea, this is law school graduate. I think it was like a correspondence course or something with Jim Jordan, because he's clearly not great at the law. But he is expressing that it is ridiculous that a judge in like Timbuktu, California, he says, can make a ruling that applies nationwide. You mean how federal courts work? Is that what you mean? Because earlier, when the Trump administration ignored a federal judge's ruling, they said, oh, we were out of the jurisdiction. We were in international waters where your ruling didn't apply, so we defied your ruling. Also, not how it works. Watch this from Jim Jordan, and then we'll get to Karoline Leavitt, where it does not get any better.
We said these federal judges, these district federal judges who issue some kind of injunction, some kind of hearing, or some kind of decision, I should say, that decision should only apply to the parties of the case in that respective jurisdiction, not have nationwide implications. So that's a step we took in committee 2 weeks ago to help deal with this problem. And we're willing to look at everything else as well, because the American people are fed up with the judge in Timbuktu, California, saying something that then applies to the entire country.
Jim Jordan knows better. This is how courts work. In fact, it's how courts work so much that you didn't hear Jim Jordan going on the news when this case in Texas that outlawed, that rescinded the FDA's approval of an abortion drug, mifepristone. Here's the headline from the Texas Tribune. Federal judge in Texas suspends FDA approval of abortion pill. The ruling from U.S. District Judge Matthew Kaczmarek in Amarillo could potentially upend access to medication abortion nationwide. Where was Jim Jordan when this happened? Wait, he wasn't out there on Fox News then. Wait, well, what do you mean a judge is making a ruling in his federal court that applies to the federal government? Because that's the way the courts are set up in the Constitution. That Congress, actually, you, in your position as a member of Congress, you have authority to organize the courts under the Constitution. Or didn't they teach you that, Jim Jordan, in your correspondence course, law school? Doesn't get any better, because here is the White House press secretary, the chief spokesperson for the President of the United States, also saying just radically wrong things, disrespectful things of the courts in this country.
He has been facing more resistance than anyone who has ever run for office in American history. And the mainstream media is part of that. But also, as you mentioned, we have judges in our judicial branch who are acting as activists, not real arbiters of the law. And there has been 15 injunctions in 1 month of President Trump's agenda. The Biden White House only faced 13 injunctions in the entirety of his presidency. And so clearly there are left-wing activists who sit behind a bench in a courthouse who don't like this president and his policies. But the fact is, everything President Trump is doing is within his executive authority to do it. He is acting within the bounds of the law. All of his actions are constitutional, and our White House and the entire administration are prepared to fight back against this resistance. Don't bet against President Trump. I think his epic return to the Oval Office proves that he is going to win against the weaponization of our justice system.
Yeah.
So you think that him winning an election is the same thing as winning in court? Is that it? Because that's not how it works, sister. I love this quote, though. The fact is, says Karoline Leavitt, everything President Trump is doing is within his executive authority to do it. All of his actions are constitutional. Says the people violating the Constitution. Trust us. As we violate the Constitution. Trust us. It's constitutional. while they tell on themselves. He's had 15 injunctions already. There's only been 13 in the Biden administration. Well, maybe that points to the fact that things you're doing are illegal, that violate federal law. Maybe it's that. No? They don't have any respect for the courts. Donald Trump obviously has no respect for the law. He's a convicted felon, after all, 34, and he would have been multi-time other convictions if not for the fact that he won the election and stopped the cases from proceeding. He now controls the Justice Department. It is no longer an independent resource of the federal government. The U.S. attorney here in Washington, D.C., Ed Martin, has said on the record, we are President Trump's lawyers. We are here to secure his agenda. None of that's true. That's not how it works. And then you've got Jim Jordan bemoaning the fact that federal judges make rulings that apply to the nation while not having anything to say when it went his way about clawing back freedoms from women and people seeking abortions in this country. It's just hypocrisy, gross, sickening. And the problem is there's so much going on that so many people aren't paying attention because it's just overwhelming. And that's by design. They want to flood the zone with as much chaos as possible. Look, I did like 7 or 8 videos today. I'm going to end up doing. I got 2 more after this. I've already done 4, 5, 6, 7 videos. Normally I do like 3 or 4. It's just, there's so much to talk about. There's so much that people need to hear. And there's things I'm leaving on the table. This is why, well, I wasn't going to go here, but here, this is why it's so important to diversify your media diet in independent media. For instance, there are things on Brittany Page's channel that she's going to be talking about today and tomorrow that I'm not going to get to because there's so much. There are things that Pacman's going to talk about that I'm not going to talk about. There's things I'm going to talk about that both of them are not going to talk about. Get out there and support independent media, whether that be Luke Beasley or somebody else in this space that is doing hard work to inform the American people about all of the dangers and damage that are coming at the hands of Donald Trump. Anyway, what do you think? I would appreciate your feedback on this. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. If you're already ruining your life on social media, do not sign up to follow me because it's miserable. But if you're already there, I'm at Dollemore and we can be miserable together. It'll be a great time. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.